depth to a concept. Earlier in this summer, I was browsing a flea market and I found this 80-year-old photo album. And inside the album there was photographs of Nansen, which is one of the country's largest ski jumps, and it's located in Berlin, New Hampshire, which happens to be where I was born. And something clicked. I decided that I wanted to tell my story, but I wanted to do it through other people's abandoned memories. And this is a project that is important enough to me that I wanted to preserve it in some way. And I'm working with material that's old. Some of it's really old and already falling apart. And so, I know I wanted it to last longer than this will. He's 104 and he's getting his first tattoo. Because I wanted long-lasting documentation of this body of work, I thought that the best way to do that would be through a book. So I started composing what turned out to be a sketchbook crossed with a journal, crossed with a scrapbook. And I'm really happy to have the opportunity to talk to you about it. In that same album that I found the ski jump, I also found this photograph. And it somehow, I don't know why, but it somehow reminded me of the summer camp I went to in North Conway. And in that camp we did some, fishing, swimming, marshmallow roasting, and my personal favorite, TV watching. Unfortunately, we didn't get to watch Different Strokes or Perfect Strangers. We mostly just watched nature documentaries, most of which I don't really remember. But I do recall we watched one about the life cycle of an anteater, which I thought made total sense because you're very likely to run into an anteater in the woods of New Hampshire. In Cornish, Maine, there's a former garage. It's supposedly a flea market now, but there's no price tags on anything, and the cranky owner, he makes you feel like a nuisance if you have the nerve to inquire about purchasing anything. But I did manage to convince him to sell me some old shooting targets, which reminded me of my grandfather, because he used to take me to the sand pit to shoot at these things. I don't remember how old he was I was when he took me, sorry. But I was 11 when he died, so this is a pretty accurate depiction of what I look like, probably. So my grandfather's funeral, it was really the first time I can remember not being jealous of my older brother getting a privilege that I didn't get. He got to be a pallbearer. And at that time, when we went to Sugarloaf, I couldn't even carry my own skis, so I wasn't surprised that no one trusted me to carry a casket or even 1/8 of a casket. In Arundel, I discovered this old box, and it had recipe cards and books and magazine clippings with cooking instructions and techniques, and it transported me to my grandmother's kitchen where she was roasting a ham and I was watching Donahue interview Marilyn Manson. At that same Arundel flea market, I found an old wallpaper sample book from the 50s. When I was first married, I did some house painting, and this nice woman hired us to remove wallpaper and paint the walls while she was on vacation. And my boss decided that we would just skip the removal of the wallpaper and just cover our tracks with a couple extra coats of paint. And I still wonder if she found out. Some things mean more. I found a letter congratulating someone about becoming a U.S. citizen, and that really touched me because my mother was a immigrant. She came here when she was 18. And then I usually try to look for the stories or the meaning in a lot of the stuff I find, but sometimes just an aesthetic will bring something to mind. The pattern inside these envelopes immediately reminded me of denim, and I began thinking about the styles and clothes that I wore in my 20s. And my friends and I thought we were really cool because we listened to obscure punk bands. We didn't care what people thought. It wasn't true, but we said that. My dad said, if you really don't care what people think, let me pick out your clothes for the Warp show. I think he meant the Warp Tour, but he had a point, and it only took me about 20 years to realize it. I'm currently living across the bridge in South Portland, not far from Willard Beach. And Willard Beach has this sign that proudly announces that it's a dog-friendly beach, and I found out the hard way that really is just code for watch where you step. And also near where I live, some of you may recognize this is a local grocery store. And when we first moved in, I said to my wife, why would someone use the word lesion in the name of their grocery store? Isn't that pretty gross? And she said, I think you're thinking of lesion with an S, which is, it's definitely possible. I'm self-aware enough to realize that not everyone's gonna think I'm as interesting as I think I am, so even though the book is personal, I tried to include other things that people can relate to. I think the reason that we like to read memoirs is because there's so much overlap in our lives. We're more similar than different, really. Although there's not many words in this book, there's a lot to read. It's more of a visual journal. Some things people might get right away, some things they may never get. This is a landscape map, and it means something really specific to me, but it likely will mean something totally different to each one of you, or maybe nothing at all. That's the beauty of repurposing these remnants. They were once abandoned, but I'm glad that I found them. And I'm more than happy to talk to any of you after if you have any old boxes of stuff in your attic that you're looking to get rid of, or if you're interested in learning more about this project. And thank you all for your time.